The full-size luxury sedan segment is a really fascinating one in the auto industry. This is typically where brands showcase their latest and greatest technology and features and design. It's kind of a gateway into where the brand will be heading for the next 5 to 6 years for their next generation of products. But I think for a lot of the leaders in this segment, the Germans, they've kind of reached a point where now they are innovating for the sake of innovating, and I'm not necessarily sure that the latest generation products from Mercedes and BMW, the S-Class and the 7 Series, are necessarily all that much better than their predecessors. The same cannot be said for this, the 2025 Genesis G90, which is Genesis's full-size luxury sedan and is their flagship model. This vehicle, because Genesis is a relatively newer brand, doesn't have as much of that innovation for innovation's sake, and honestly, I think represents the pinnacle of automotive design in terms of usability, looks, and comfort. This is a really impressive vehicle that is just made more impressive by its price tag, which when compared to the Germans is much, much lower. So let's take a look at this 2025 Genesis G90 to see what it is all about. Let's start with the looks. Obviously, this is a subjective area, but I think the general consensus on the modern German offerings, S-Class and 7 Series, is that they're kind of falling a little bit short in this generation. The old S-Class, the generation just before this, was a bit classier, I think, than the current generation S-Class, and the 7 Series is just a little clunky looking. That's at least my opinion. The Audi A8 is a very understatedly designed vehicle, and it's not the newest in this segment either. It's fine, but this vehicle, the G90, compared to those products, I think is a far more handsome vehicle. It really encompasses everything that a full-size luxury sedan strives to be. It is strikingly beautiful just upon first looking at it, and it has an incredible amount of presence. A lot of that is to do with this giant grille up front. I also love how thin and slim these headlights are. And a lot of times when car companies do super thin headlights, it's actually just the daytime running lights that's super thin, and then they have the real headlight housing down lower, and that's for a myriad of reasons. But it's cool that in this G90, this is the entire headlight housing, these two lines. It's both the daytime running lights and the actual headlights and the high beams as well. And I think it just looks really good. Genesis nailed the look of this G90. It is very stately, very handsome. I can't give it enough praise. Again, it's subjective, but I do think that this is by far the best looking full-size luxury sedan. Coming along to the side profile, we can continue to appreciate this vehicle's aesthetics. I particularly love how low and long the hood is. That really helps give this vehicle great presence on the road. And I also appreciate that it's not too swoopy and coupy in the back. This still is a pretty traditional 3-box sedan. And I also really do like how the turn signals continue past the front wheel well and onto this front fender. That is kind of a signature design of Genesis, and it looks good on this G90. Also, I love these 21-inch wheels. Coming around to the rear of the G90, I think this is the simplest angle of the car. Nothing wrong with it though, just a little simpler than other elements of this vehicle's design. Genesis spelled out across the center of the tailgate. And opening the power trunk, we're gonna find 15.7 cubic feet of storage. It's not a colossal trunk, but you will definitely be able to fit at least one set of golf clubs. You might have to take the drivers out though, and kind of fiddle them around a bit, which is, I think, a little bit of a detriment, especially because Genesis is so big into golf. I don't have a golf bag though to test, but overall, a pretty good rear end. But the real magic happens inside on G90, because full-size luxury sedans are all about the back seats for chauffeured passengers, but don't worry, up front is pretty nice as well. G90 also has a cool party trick. There are automatic closing doors. So last week I was driving Cadillac Escalade IQ that had automatic closing and opening doors. On G90, they're electronically assisting in the opening function, but to close, you just press this button. Or if you have multiple doors open, you can hold the lock button on the key fob and all will swing shut in synchronized manner. But sitting here in the back of Genesis G90, it's pretty comfortable. I can adjust my seat electronically. There are controls on the side of this center console, which does recline. So you can actually seat 5 across if you need to, or 3 across, 5 total in this G90. But most of the time you're gonna have this center console down because this is where all of the magic happens. So I can adjust my own seat forward and backwards, up and down. There's also an ottoman that I can deploy. But if I don't want to faff around with the individual controls, I can press rest. The front passenger seat will move out of the way. My seat will fully recline, and I can really appreciate the pillow headrest. I also have to take a moment to appreciate this burgundy interior as this front seat is folding out of the way and my ottoman will deploy. I think it's absolutely spectacular. It really channels the full-size luxury sedan, like old man car vibes, and I think that's absolutely perfect. So at 6'2", my feet do press up against the seat in front of me, but I am still really comfortable. I do have just enough headroom. That's one thing I've noticed about this vehicle. Taller individuals will probably find headroom a little tight, even up front. But yeah, this is really comfortable. These rear seats are obviously heated, they're ventilated. They have 4 different massage programs, and the massages in these seats, all 4 of the main seats have massage programs. They're really good, far better than the Escalade IQ I was driving last week. Very impressive. You can also control the climates back here. There's 4-zone automatic climate controls. I can raise and lower the peasant blockers, which are on either side, around back, and we have our own glass roof. There are vanity mirrors that pop down from the ceiling, a great Bang & Olufsen audio system. With the hold of one button, I can just raise my seat back up to its former position. So that's the incredible thing about Genesis G90, and what I meant when I was talking about how this vehicle in a lot of ways is better than some of the German competitors, because it doesn't overwhelm you with technology. There are still physical controls. I can turn my massaging seat on with a button. There is so much redundancy in this car, which I absolutely love. You can do things through a screen, but if you don't prefer that, you can do things with physical controls. I have controls again on the side of my seat. There are these buttons on the side of the door as well, and when we move up front, we'll talk about more ways there is redundancy in this vehicle's technology, which I think is so smart. I really don't appreciate when car companies force you to use a touchscreen and go through a touchscreen to do simple things. Tactile controls, I think, offer a lot more craftsmanship, which for or opportunities for craftsmanship, which for a luxury vehicle is really important. When you open up this center console, you can see the wireless charging pad. There are 2 USB-C charging outlets, and this is also like an ultraviolet thing in here that will like cleanse your phone if you put it in here, although I don't think my phone would actually fit in there. It's a little small. And we have a pair of cup holders here. Opening this, I've struggled to open this before, but there's just another USB, another USB and a 12-volt socket right there. Air vents, map pockets as well. So this is a very luxurious back seat, and I want to bring up the price as I'm sitting back here, because this car starts at $89,700. The model I'm sitting in, because it has the electronic supercharger, and then when you get the engine with the electronic supercharger, all G90s come with a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. The base model is just that. The higher end model, like this one, has the electronic supercharger added on, so it's a mild hybrid. That comes with a few more features as well. This model is sitting at right about $102,000. So that's a lot of money, yes, but when you consider the fact that the Mercedes S-Class starts at $117,000 and doesn't have nearly as many of these features standard, like none of these features standard, basically, this is a bargain in the full-size luxury sedan segment. But let's hop up front to talk about what it's like up there. So up front, what I really appreciate about G90 is that it's not the tech that you notice first. That's kind of an afterthought in this vehicle, which is really refreshing in 2025 to have a car that's not so focused on its tech. It's really, again, this gorgeous interior. I love the suede burgundy headliner, these burgundy seats, which are, again, massaging. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I also love the trim piece they have on the doors and across the dash. It's like, kind of looks like forged carbon fiber / wood material. It's really cool, and it also has this cool like inlaid metal strips, which are absolutely elegant. And the steering wheel is also really uniquely designed. It feels like it's carved out of a block of wood. There's no wood in this, but it feels really sculpted, almost concept car-esque, the way the center of the steering wheel pops out, as well as the areas that the buttons are in. That's all super impressive, so much so that it makes you forget that these buttons on the steering wheel and this software on these screens are just Hyundai screens and buttons. Like the software is reskinned for Genesis, but it is very much still the same information that a Hyundai has, and these buttons are very much still the same buttons you would find in a Hyundai product. But again, I don't think many G90 customers are going to be coming from a Hyundai, and it's not what you notice. You don't really notice those things because they've done such a good job designing the rest of this interior. I am very impressed by this car. And again, it's that technology is not the overwhelming thing about this vehicle. It's the craftsmanship of the interior that is, and it is the redundant controls as well that I really appreciate, because this is a touchscreen. You can use it as such, but there's also a rotary dial, which is so nice to see. There's also buttons for basically everything, like shortcut buttons to go home, back, menu, your volume and tuning, scrolling things, which I would prefer knobs, but these are fine. But our drive mode selector is a button. Heated and ventilated seats are buttons. You can even close all of the doors with buttons. The driver also can just put their foot on the brake, and that will put their foot on the brake, and that will also close their own doors. Really, my only qualm with this interior, other than some of the Hyundai, controls, is this touch screen climate control area. You can adjust your temperature with these dials, which is really nice, but there are touch screen elements to, like, where the air is flowing, where what perfume or how much of your perfume is being blown into the cabin. So minor things really, but overall I am very impressed by the G90's interior. And last thing before we get on the road is to talk about the engine. As I mentioned, this is a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 with an electronic supercharger, which means this car makes 405 horsepower and 409 pound-feet of torque. Not legendary, and there's no V8 on offer like there used to be for G90, but it's plenty punchy for this size of vehicle, and it's also really refined, so you don't really hear it that much under the hood, which is also what you want. And all of the base engines for full-size luxury sedans are 6 cylinders, not V8s anyways, so this is not out of place, especially for the price of this vehicle. And I quite like this powertrain. You don't really notice it while driving, which is what you want in this class of car. All right, driving the 2025 Genesis G90. Yeah, it's twin turbo 3.5 liter V6 is plenty powerful to move this vehicle up to speed, and for you to never feel like you are wanting for power. I think that's a good way to describe it. It is more than adequate, just like a powertrain in a luxury vehicle should be. And the next thing that really jumps out to me is just how quiet and hushed it is in this cabin, and how soft it is. The suspension is really good at smoothing out the bumps we are riding on. Air suspension in this vehicle, that was a pretty big pothole, and the car handled it really nicely. I'm very impressed at how this G90 handles the bumps. I just had, as I keep mentioning, the Cadillac Escalade IQ on loan. That vehicle is $60,000 more than this car, but a very luxurious car, which I thought was very quiet and very well riding, especially for its size, because that's a 9,000 pound vehicle. But this is definitely quieter and smoother than the IQ was. A very luxurious and serene driving experience. We're going 66 right now, and it's really hushed. We're getting some buffets of wind because it's kind of windy outside, but overall it is really, really quiet in this cabin, which is really nice. And I also have my seat massage on right now. Really good, like I mentioned. It's genuinely therapeutic. Like, I kind of tweaked my back while working out the other day, and this really helped kind of like ease my back after it was a little tense from that, which is really nice. It kind of what I actually want a seat massage to be. I find myself turning it on every time. One, because it's so easy to turn it on because there is a physical button, and two, because it is so good. I have noticed that when you press the button to turn on the massaging seat, a message pops up telling you which program you are running and allows you to change it, but that message will stay up until you say close, which is rather annoying. I wish that message just went away after a time. But luckily there is a nice rotary dial / button right here that you can press in order to make that message go away without using the touchscreen, which is really nice. Also, it's not just the design of this cabin that I find so impressive. Like, there are genuinely really nice materials. Like, this is the gear selector. That's metal. That's not just, silver colored plastic. It's really, really impressive. Some of the materials they have put in this vehicle. I also really like how the blind spot monitor camera goes in the center of the vehicle, so no matter which way you're looking, it's kind of right in your line of sight. Cadillac put it in the center screen, which just wasn't as helpful, especially if you're looking left, because then it's like outside of your view of the road. But yeah, overall, this is an excellent luxury sedan, comfortable, adequately powered, super serene on the inside, and you know that people are looking at you. You know that this is attracting attention because it is so well designed. People are definitely going to be confusing this vehicle with a Bentley. This has very Bentley-esque styling in the grille, and their logo is similar to Bentley's. And so it checks all the boxes. As you can see, at 6'2", my head is approaching the headliner. Now, I like to sit upright. I am a kind of attentive driver, but that is something that taller individuals may struggle with. I've actually hit my head on the door opening, and it's something I've noticed in other Genesis sedans like the G90 that it didn't have that much headroom throughout the vehicle. But other than that, I mean, oh, this is such a good car. All right, I just entered chauffeur mode, which can be done by holding the drive mode button. And that really just calibrates the throttle and the steering for maximum smoothness so that you are not jarring passengers. So even when I put my foot down, the car has some get up and go, so it's gonna get up and go, but it just really makes the pedals easy to accelerate and slow this vehicle down in a smooth manner as to not upset rear seat passengers, because as you saw, this vehicle really is set up for chauffeuring. Very executive back seats, I would say. So if you do have a chauffeur, you can tell them to put it in chauffeur mode just to make everything a bit smoother. I really notice it pulling away from a stop. It does just kind of eke forward in a very like, here we go. Like that was smooth. That was not upsetting in the slightest. I did really like that. But we're about to enter the freeway, so let's go into sport mode to see what this car can do getting onto the highway. All right, pulling onto the 405 North on a pretty long highway on-ramp. Let's see what the car can do. Giving it gas here. Takes a moment to build up. I think we were kind of in the wrong gear for that. Oh, but then there's plenty of power, and it just keeps on coming if you keep your foot down. I definitely don't need all of that power right now. Pretty peppy in the Genesis G90 in sport mode, pretty smooth in chauffeur mode, and all the time, no matter what drive mode you're in, this is a very comfortable and luxurious car. So that's the 2025 Genesis G90. This car offers unrivaled luxury and features for its price. I am really impressed by this car, and if I was looking for a full-size luxury sedan, this is definitely a vehicle I would consider at the top of my list. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.